It's time for the news.
Another UFO sighting has taken place.
The leather's made out of cardboard.
The number you have dialed is in an alternate dimension.
Welcome back to the Weird Week. My name is Jack DeMont. I'm your host. Daniel Kim with us again. How you doing, man?
It's a Friday, isn't it?
It is Friday.
All right. Thank God it's Friday.
I get my days screwed up too. Yeah, TGIF, man. I never really ate at TGIS.
Really?
Huh?
They had this. I'm not sure about it now, but when I was young, I used to love that glaze, that Jack Daniel whiskey glaze thing that they had. It's like super sweet.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've only eaten at TGIF maybe once in my life.
No, you're missing out. But I'm pretty sure it's like the same as like Applebee's or
Applebee's, right?
Yeah,
with the fucking flair. Didn't they have the flair?
I think so. To be honest, all those restaurants are like, if you eat there, like I don't know, whatever you eat from there, it's like it kind of all tastes the same.
I had a problem when I went to Chili's once. It was really salty.
Chili's,
everything I ate was so salty there.
Well,
but that might have just been a specific Chili's or something.
I take it back. Black Angus, their cheese fries with bacon on top, it's pretty damn good.
You're putting Black Angus in the category of Applebee's.
Isn't it the same? Or is it the same? I thought they're all like, well, they're all those chain restaurants that like.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
It's just Black Angus, I think, tries to act like they're more of like a steakhouse than like.
No.
Than like an
Outback.
Applebee's or something.
Outback. That's what I'm talking. Outback Steakhouse. Is that like a different class too that I just don't recognize that they are?
I don't know. I haven't been to many Outbacks, but I also think like Black Angus is definitely and Outbacks are both trying to be something more than they are in a lot of ways.
Let me just say this. You guys are good, but let's cut the shit. You're not luxury by any stretch of the imagination. There's great steakhouses. You guys are just like that.
You're a steakhouse, period.
Yeah, steakhouse, period.
You guys make
still
steak.
Good. Still good. I'll eat there. I'll eat at your establishment.
Steak.
But let's just cut the shit.
But like half your steaks could probably use some A1 sauce.
Yeah.
If I'm at like a good steakhouse, I don't want to be thinking about A1 sauce at all. That's all I'm saying.
Did you hear about that one thing about Nicki Minaj?
Nah.
She ate at a Boa Steakhouse, and apparently she grabbed one of the assistants or somebody to go grab her A1 sauce, and apparently the chefs were furious.
I don't even know.
But at the end of the day, it's just like she's the one paying for the steak. Let her eat it the way she wants to. Who cares?
It's Nicki Minaj.
I know.
Don't freak out at her. Are you dumb? Like, just be stoked she's in your premise, and that she wants A1. Just be stoked that she wants A1 on her steak, and give her fucking A1.
Do you think she grabbed the table for two, and each chair was for each different sides of her body?
Oh God, that ass is fat, dude. That is the thickness. It's fake, right? She's got a fake butt for the most part, right?
Hi, whatever had helped you. I mean, I wouldn't mind.
I'm pretty sure I've seen before photos, and it's the kind of thing where it's like, girl, there's no way that's your ass now. No way.
Whatever. I'm a big fan, Nikki. Do your thing.
Be doing way more than a workout to get that ass. That's crazy. That was crazy. But no, she looks great. She still looks great. She's allowed. I think, she's allowed to have her A1 steak sauce. It's a personal thing for me where it's like, if the steak is so good, it doesn't need anything on it. And I think if you want to be one of those kinds of, connoisseurs and bougie steak people and stuff, that you can kind of like say, oh, you're ruining your steak by putting sauce on it or something. But it's like, at the end of the day, let somebody do their steak the way that they do it and enjoy it the way they enjoy it. Have you seen the SNL bit with the kind of fairly recently with the lady cutting her steak? It's got Pedro Pascal.
I be honest, I don't catch a lot of the newer SNL skits.
It was fairly recent. It had Pedro Pascal and they're at like a nice dinner, and it's like all friends. And this one lady, she's like, "Oh, I brought my cousin. My cousin's here. She's gonna eat with us." And everybody's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, we love you, so we're gonna love your cousin, no problems, stuff like that." And they're all sitting down to eat, and she's like, I want my steak like well done, like no blood, nothing, like well done. And they were like, okay, right? And they bring out the steak, and she starts cutting it, and the whole table starts shaking. She's just hacking and sawing away, and all of a sudden, like, water's flying in the air, food's flinging all over Pedro Pascal. He's trying to tell a story, and he can't help but laugh because the whole table is shaking in a way.
Yeah.
Like, this steak is so good.
Which is
That
how my
reminds me.
parents loved steak. They used to love it where they didn't like the whole bloodiness of things. Well, actually, it was my mom, but yeah, I mean, going back to your thing with the A1 sauce, I was never a big fan of A1 sauce. My dad loved it. I hated it. It was way too vinegary for me. I just like my steak plain, pepper, salt. I'm good.
It's funny because it's like that thing of where time changes your palate and you mature and things change and stuff. Because as a child, I loved A1 sauce. I basically wouldn't eat a steak without A1 sauce or Worcestershire, and I loved my steak well done. I needed that shit not bloody whatsoever. And to me, it was kind of like a fear thing. It almost felt like I was eating raw food, and I wasn't comfortable with the idea. Now I understand, once you get the meat to a certain temperature, it cooks out all the harmful things and whatever, and you can still have a bloody steak. Bloody steaks are nice and juicy, really, really tender, really good. And you can, and now later on in life, I can understand like not even trying to put A1 on a really good steak. But back in the day, I liked the vinegariness, and the problem with the steak being so well cooked for me most of the time was like it ended up being dry a lot. And because I had to sauce it up, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, enjoy what you enjoy. You paid for it. You deserve it.
Right. Let's get right into things, because I think I don't even think we've started talking about any of the news yet. We're still.
Who cares? Let's just talk about A1 sauce for the rest of the episode.
Steak, man. Yeah. Moving
You know what
into
you know what goes good with steak? Steak. Even more steak.
yeah. Let's move into the news. So we're gonna start here with, it looks like a gentleman is trying to be like ousted by his community because he created some statues made of like sheet metal and car materials and stuff like that, and they look like giant Optimus Prime and Bumblebee statues, but they're made with like big metal parts, so they're not necessarily like the prettiest of sculptures. They don't look like the statue of David, but they're still really like intricate and really cool. And there are other residents in the community that really like him. So he's at war, it looks like, with the local community on whether or not he should be able to keep his statues. I think that's what it comes down to, is they're trying to get rid of the statues because they're so big. He can't like put them in his apartment or anything. So they're sitting right outside of his place, and they're just, some people see them as giant eyesores while other people think they're just really badass. So it's like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's HOA is a pain in the ass. The same, simply put, they're just a pain in the ass. I mean, to me, it looks cool because I love Transformers, and the new movie coming out, I'm even more excited. It takes place from Beast Wars. If you ever seen it,
I remember the cartoon Beast Wars. Beast Wars,
yeah, they're gonna have
is better than regular Transformers, if you ask me.
They're gonna have the characters from Beast Wars in this one.
That's crazy. Is it still in the same universe as the other Transformers movies?
Well, there's Optimus Prime, and then you know how the Optimus Prime in Beast Wars, it was the gorilla. He transformed. So they're gonna have both of them in the same movie. I don't know how it's gonna work out. I didn't read up too much in it. Yeah, so it's like they have Cheetor, the cheetah that turns into it. He's gonna be in it.
He was the coolest one in my eyes. I like the cheetah one. I
Yeah,
liked him a
so
lot. I think I
excited
even
for
had a
this one.
toy of the cheetah one.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Nice. But anyway, back
yeah.
to whoever this guy is. It's irrelevant. The new Transformers movies, though, the new Transformers movie, though, is gonna be awesome. Next
Uh,
story. Just kidding. But no, I mean, HOA is a pain in the ass. I mean, I know like a friend that lives in a neighborhood where he like they gave him shit because he parked his car in the street where his house is, and they didn't want it to look like that. They apparently to the article like how they reacted, it doesn't fit a certain aesthetic that the
Mhm,
neighborhood has, which is, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, whatever. If it doesn't work with the aesthetic, I mean, to ask the guy to, if I don't know, it's just maybe like because it does say that there were tourists and people were taking pictures. Maybe it caused a little bit of a traffic where like some people. I also lived in an apartment where it was on top of like a little bit of a shopping center, so like they didn't. It was structured where like nowadays if it's like that the building has separate entrances for visitors and residents, but
mhm,
this one had one where for residential parking you have to travel through that traffic, and it did gets annoying when you're just like at the end of your workday you just want to go home and just relax. And when somebody's trying to technically the like the right thing to do or the is kind of pull to the side so other the ongoers can just pass by you while you wait for the your parking spot.
mhm.
But man, like I know how that feels when you just want to get home and you see a crowd of people just blocking you from going home. Maybe that's the issue.
Mhm.
But from what the article saying, they just said it was the aesthetic thing. So it's just like, hey, I
Well,
think it looks cool, but HOA always thinks otherwise.
it
Or
looks
if it's, I'm not sure if it is HOA, but if I had to put money on it, I'm almost guaranteeing you it's HOA.
right. Well, they're saying, like you had said, like that it's causing like traffic on the streets and stuff. Well, so what the people are arguing to try to get rid of it is that it's a safety hazard. They're saying that there's crowding, it's causing excess trash. Motorcycle gangs are coming through, and that it's blocking the sidewalk. And so they're saying this is clearly a safety hazard. And the guy is basically saying you're full of it. Like, and
Mhm.
and I think I should be able to keep my statues here.
Yeah.
So see what happens. Is
Hell's
they
Angels was like, that's a cool Optimus Prime statue.
have right.
I don't know why it sounds like Macho Man Randy Savage, but
Right,
it
right.
just that's how I imagined that they would sound like.
Well, it is funny to think about, like, they're saying, like, biker gangs are coming through and stuff, and it's like, okay, yeah, so even if they are, like, they're biker gangs that are coming to look at art and take pictures of art, like, they're not coming to, like, do something wrong. They're looking at a
Yeah,
cool art piece. Like, if
yeah.
anything, they're being the most behaved motorcycle gang ever. Um,
Or maybe the
that's
noise thing from the motorcycles. I mean, maybe that I don't know.
well,
It
yeah,
just
there's a lot of different things that are, to me, it kind of reminds me of, there was this story of a Flintstones house. A lot of people probably actually know this story because it went pretty viral. It was pretty famous. It's a Flintstones house that a woman had made look exactly like the Flintstones house, like her home. She made it look exactly like the Flintstones house, but it's like super kitschy and cartoony and stuff. And in the setting that it's in, surrounded by the houses that it's surrounded by, they're very like luxurious, large mansion type houses in the surrounding community. They all kind of like ganged up on her and they tried to get her pushed out because they were saying her home was a big eyesore, and she ended up winning because it's like her property and she can do with what she wants on her property. But it's a big Flintstones house. You should actually look it up because it looks crazy. Like, they're not wrong. It is kind of an eyesore compared to the rest of the neighborhood because it sticks out like a sore thumb. But it's cool, that somebody wanted that done. I find it
yeah,
interesting that she tries to live in it. It's like, oh, that's a little obnoxious.
yeah. She yabba dabba did.
She yabba dabba did.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like, God, as a homeowner, that's one of the pains that you have to deal with. Like sometimes you end up with shitty neighbors. Sometimes you end up with these stupid rules. Just like, God, can I just live in my own house that I pay for fucking in peace?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad she won her fight, and I hope he wins his. Um, Speaking of tourists coming in for attractions and stuff, back on to Disney versus DeSantis. We spoke on this I think last week a little bit, but it basically we have an article here that says Disney is still planning on spending billions in Florida despite its battle with DeSantis. And to me, this doesn't come as a surprise, being as a lot of their business takes place out in Florida. Disney World is in Florida. They're they're not going to just up and move out and take everything with them and be willing to lose all that money. I think what this really comes down to is the fact that they know they're going to be in Florida no matter what, and they're going to have to keep operating their business in Florida no matter what. And so the fight with DeSantis is basically saying like, look, we're still going to be a Florida business no matter what. We just want you to work with us and give us, but it's Disney is huge. Like, I don't really care if anybody works with
I
Disney
mean,
on getting
yeah.
their blah blahs, whatever.
Yeah, well, if like they said they invested $17 billion into the new things that they're planning for in Florida, and to suddenly put a halt to that and also pay for the relocation, you'll have to close down and try to figure out a way to shift all those workers. And if some of those workers do end up going with you to another state, some of them are going to be left behind, so you have to rehire for those positions, and it costs a lot of money. They're not only losing off their initial investment, but they're also losing up on a lot of opportunity costs for the remainder of time that they're going to have to shut down to move all the operations somewhere else. So yeah, I mean, it's just based on, I think it's what people get wrong is, like, I think it's DeSantis versus Disney rather than Florida versus Disney. And I think a lot of Floridians would probably be like, we want Disney to stay here because it does create jobs around this area. And I think I said this in the last episode. It's like, when you go to Florida, it's like, I'm probably going there for two reasons: Miami or Disney World.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I think DeSantis and Florida's government need to take all of that into consideration, because Disney's one of their biggest draws, one of the biggest things that brings people in. Like you said, like, it's just like, literally, when I think of Florida, what do I think of? I think of Miami, alligators, and Disney. Like,
And oranges. Is oranges a thing in Florida? Because I think Florida orange juice is a thing. So I always thought that Florida was known for their oranges.
It must be a thing, Florida orange juice. But no, peaches are Georgia.
I get my peaches out in Georgia.
And their license plate has peaches on it.
Georgia does?
Yeah.
Florida, I think, has... What does Florida have?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of the Florida license plate, but I can't think of it.
I know New Mexico has that cool yellow
backdrop. New Mexico has one of the coolest license plates, and it's like one of the shittiest states. Let's be honest. Even if you're from New Mexico, you got to say that shit. Like, come on.
Hey, but there were rocking cool license plates. Hey, that's a win there, guys.
I'm not even like, no front. Those are some cool license plates. Some of the coolest ones. I also grew up partly in Arizona, so I think the Native American like aesthetic and things like that are very cool. And I think those license plates have kind of like that vibe to them. I like it a lot. Now, moving on. Speaking of copious amounts of money being robbed from people, there's a man here who wanted to steal copious amounts of money from a bank. He even slipped a note to the lady.
The bank teller?
The bank teller, thank you. That's the name of the people that work at a bank.
I think we should just piss off a bunch of people and be like, it was just a lady.
It was that lady.
The money county lady.
The money counter lady. The one that sits at the money bank thing. He slips a note to the teller. It says something, put money in the bag. He's covering his face with like a t-shirt. You could tell just by the footage that the guy is like a very amateur robber. Like, he doesn't even have a ski mask or any type of thing to cover his identity except for his own shirt that he's barely pulling up over his face.
And he pointed his finger through his jacket. I have a gun.
Oh, I
No,
have
you're
a
not.
gun. Don't look at it, but I have one. And then like so you can see like there's this guy off on the side in the footage, and it ends up this guy who's off on the side in the footage knows homeboy that's trying to rob the bank, and he comes up to said guy, says like, "Hey man, you like how's it going?" and gives him a hug and like takes him outside. He's like let's go like talk about what's happening really quick. Let's break down what's going on. Are you all right? And he takes the guy outside and he starts talking to him, and the guy calms down, and he basically stops a full-blown robbery from happening. There's a good chance that this robbery wasn't going to be able to be successful anyways, because he had a fake gun in his shirt and it looked very amateur. But if if he wasn't going to be successful in the robbery, he was for sure going to get arrested. So at least the guy prevented him from getting arrested and from committing a very serious crime.
I mean, he did get pressed for charges. He did
Oh,
attempt
he did still
robberies.
get, but
Yeah.
but I don't think he was arrested, right? Like pressing charges versus arresting is different, right? Because you can still press charges and somebody just like gets
Well, I
goes
mean,
fine
he
or
didn't he
something like
didn't
that.
go he didn't get away scot free. Like
Right, right.
it's
He didn't
yeah,
get away
he
scot-free. You're right.
gets some repercussions for his. He still tried to rob the bank. It's just I think the man kind of I think
Mhm,
they
mhm.
I don't know like I said, some people even without weapons tend to do crazy things. So like I think he stopped maybe something that could have been a really hopefully not hopefully but like it could have been a worse situation if that man didn't step in.
Yeah, no,
It could have been.
100%.
Yeah, there's a good chance it could have been, but it wasn't, so that we can at least thank the heavens for that.
Right. It looks like he was arrested for attempted robbery, because that's you can't even attempt robbery. That's a bad idea.
No matter how successful or or amateur you look at it, just don't attempt it, dude. They all grade it the same.
And it's like, dude, he like didn't even have a gun or anything. Like he literally slipped a note. It's like, man, if you just wrote some other words on that note, man, if you just really had taken like 2 more minutes to turn around and see your buddy in the corner and be like, hey, maybe I'll go talk to my friend about my problem. Like,
Or work it a different way. I meant to say, give me my money from my checking account, not my savings. I just forgot to write that part down. This teller is just freaking out.
too much. I love it though.
But I mean, what a great. I mean, it just shows you like a lot of times like it just people. I mean, people go through tough times. This guy said he had nothing to live for. He just wanted to go to prison. But apparently, this man, I mean, it just goes to show you like a simple like gesture of a hug and just being like, "Hey, what's going on? Do you want to talk about it?" Can go a long way. I mean, granted, he's arrested still, but and it's a stupid thing that he tried to do, but at least he found some solace in from this man's actions, and hopefully he whatever he's going through, he resolves it. I mean that's what a lot of people just need, like that like push. I know we
right,
talked about the other one where like the whole police thing where it's like, police accountability is a somewhat like people the trust between the community and the police and law enforcement isn't the best right now. And a lot of times these simple deeds, I mean, you're a police officer with a gun, but a lot of these simple acts can really help you with your organization and just being like, yo, like, I don't know, it just to me that just seems like the simple solution, just going in every situation with a gun drawn and shooty shooty bang bang.
right, right. Um, there's always, yeah, it does seem like there's always a better solution. Um, it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, but good hope. I mean, we've all been through it. I mean, we've all hit rock bottom at some point. Hopefully that's like, like I
His
said,
lowest.
yeah, his lowest. And just,
Yeah.
like you just never know. Like like that's the great thing about like a lot of times with people, like you don't know like what your kind words do to people.
Right.
Sometimes it might be the highlight of the day or even their highlight of their life.
Right.
But just be understanding, and this like like this, that's might have just changed his life for the better. A
Right.
simple act and gesture.
I mean, the guy said the guy said that after having a conversation with the gentleman that he could tell, or that his friend had said, he just was having a really awful time in life, and it was really, really, it was a struggle, and it's like he wanted to go to prison, and it's to me is like, man, society really, we're in a horrible place if people are committing crimes just to try to get arrested so that they don't have to like try to survive and find a way to make it in the current society that we live in, because it can be so difficult sometimes. They would rather just be arrested and taken care of, be put into a cell and not have to worry about rent or the food and stuff. All of it gets provided for them. It's kind of sad to think that someone would resort to doing something in order to just get put somewhere so that they could have things taken care of for them. And I'm not sure that that's exactly why he wanted to get arrested or whatever, but it sounds like that's kind of what the case is. Pretty hard. Speaking of crazy cases, that man was arrested, but we are looking for a woman still that is wanted for committing her crime. What she did. This is a Canadian woman. She mass keyed 400 vehicles at a Coquitlam dealership.
In Canada, eh?
Canada, eh? Right. And you hear about how Canadians are always so nice and whatnot, yet this one's going to a dealership and keying 400 vehicles. It is also kind of like funny, though. It seems like if there was a crime for a Canadian to commit, it would be like scratching a car. Like, they can't do anything bigger than that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm evil. Scratch. But it is 400 vehicles, which is gnarly.
A mass keying.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, fuck her, first of all. Like we just said in the other, like the other guy with the robbing the bank, like attempted robbery, no matter how amateur it looks or how, how good, how like the grading of it is, the result is the same. You still press charges as an attempted robbery. But I feel like this lady should get like the full punishment, like severe punishment, if she had to. Because I mean, yeah, keying 1, 2, 3 cars, you can be like, okay, she was probably mad at this person. I'm not justifying those actions, but I'm just saying you can somewhat like try to say, okay, this is like she was just angry at the time. But to go and key 400 cars, it's just like, what the f is your problem, lady? Just get out of here.
Yeah. And supposedly she did it twice. It's 400 vehicles over the course of 2 different instances in which she went to 2 different local dealerships and keyed them. So it wasn't just one single dealership. She targeted multiple dealerships, fucked up all their cars during a time period between January and April. She's still at large, and yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think like she clearly deserves a big punishment just because, like, yeah, I mean, it's
even
just
the
so
costs from all those
unnecessary.
damages are just probably astronomical.
Right. And you'd almost feel like you would be able to maybe find who the victim or who the assailant was, just based on like how she targeted the dealerships and stuff like that. Like, clearly she has something against the owners or dealerships in general or something. But it's like, because it was 2 dealerships, you almost like wonder if they had any correlation besides the fact that there was just a ton of cars there and she was just trying to key a bunch of cars. Like, does she have a personal vendetta towards one of these or both of these car dealerships? Who knows? I mean, maybe both of them denied her being able to buy a car or something, but it's like,
But that doesn't give
who
you,
does
I
that?
mean, maybe, yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
maybe
mean,
your credit is shit, who knows? Like, it's just, there might be a number of reasons why they denied it to you. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't seem a lot of times if you're denied a car, it's probably for a reason. Like they don't think you can pay it off, or your credit is bad, or
Right.
I don't know. It's just
I can
key
understand
for
you
the
keying your
cars.
ex-boyfriend's car.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
yeah,
the whole dealership.
I've never, thank God, I've never pissed anybody off to the point where like they keyed my car. But like I know people who have had their cars keyed, and it's expensive to fix.
Yeah.
It's just a brand new paint job. That's all it is. They don't just take a little paint over the scratch marks. They have to really redo the whole thing, and just kind of that's such a pain in the ass. And that car has to sit in that body shop for like a few days, and just man, that's I don't know.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
keep 400 cars, you better get like, ugh, you're
Some good
punishing
lawyers and a lot of
yourself.
money. Because
Yeah,
you either going to jail for a long time or you're paying a lot of money.
yeah. How about we key 400 of things that you like?
Just go to her house and start just keying her plates and shit. Fuck you. Oh, clock on the wall? Key. So funny. All right, guys. It's been another weird week. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. It's always a good time. Like, subscribe, follow, send us your money. We need that money. We love that money. We want that money. All right. We'll see you soon and have another weird weekend, guys. We'll see you soon. Peace.